we'd created a book called Planning Learning Spaces. We developed that book with a colleague, Murray Hudson, who's the managing director of Gratnall's. Gratnall's taking a wider interest in their products and education on a greater scale, and myself. And what we were trying to do was to look at good practice, celebrate good practice, and to see where there were common themes that would run through good practice in order to celebrate excellence in design. And we were really keen that this publication took a fusion between architecture and education. Herman Hertzberger was keen to be involved in the forward, as was Sir Ken Robinson. And as we discussed this with them and planned the publication and brought a range of colleagues from many disciplines into the process, we started to see the synergies, the capabilities that we could create if we actually had more of a fusion between those processes. What we decided to do was to create planning and learning spaces in practice as a design framework. We were very much influenced by John Holt. All my life, he's influenced me as a teacher and a head teacher, learning being the activities of young people, and those activities need to be the things that shape our design. And so we created this design framework. And we started off with a focus on the vision and values of the school. We often found in design that the vision and values so critical to the way we do things in school, our relation with our community, were ignored. And ignoring them for us meant that change and transition through learning spaces became more difficult. We then knew that we had to work with teachers and communities to celebrate what was good in a school, how things were working really well. But actually, what's the next practice? Where do you want to go next? How do you define that next practice? Because if you can't define the next practice that you want, you're never going to better evaluate whether design is working for you. And then going through that whole process, then how do we take that into behaviors and design indicators that can drive the design of spaces? And then as we've done that, how do we take all of that and apply it to a primary school, a special school, a secondary school, to actually say, so will it deliver the curriculum that we want? But then importantly, in our work, in our project schools, we then take it and say, well, how does that integrate with the school? Because whether it's a new build or a remodeling program, it needs to integrate with the purpose and the planning of a school. And often the two things sit uncomfortably together. And then the change doesn't happen in the way that people want it to take place. So this is the framework that we developed. And this slide just reinforces some more of that. But in the center of the slide, because schools, as colleagues have said earlier, they are systems, they need to integrate. So when we're talking to staff and communities and young people about the process, then we're thinking about what is the pedagogy? What is the curriculum experience that we really want to create? How do we organize learning in this building? Because the organization of learning in the building is often something that actually disrupts a design. How do we have leadership of learning? Is it at all levels? Is it just a head teacher saying this is what we're going to do? Or is everybody at every level in the process engaged to contribute to that process? And then how is community engaged in the design of a school?